Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still running into this important area of resistance as a new warning signal is officially flashing on this Bitcoin chart that we need to pay attention to. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about this and my exact Bitcoin trading strategy alongside Ethereum, which is still holding on to this important Fibonacci level, while the price of Solana is also still holding above this important Fibonacci level. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video. So definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart, and right now the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, so nothing's changed over the last 1 day on this chart. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for on this time frame. So really not a lot has changed on this chart over the last 1 day. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, the weekly Bitcoin MACD is still moving closer towards a bullish crossover, but at the current rate, we're still around 1 to 2 weeks away from possibly confirming that bullish crossover. But if we're looking at the last couple of times that we've seen a very similar signal to what we're seeing right now in this indicator on this time frame, we were already in the recovery stage for the price of Bitcoin out of these pullbacks here. We were already starting to see bullish price action. The low was in, and once we actually confirmed the bullish crossover, from that point onwards, we actually gained more bullish momentum. And so at least based on this indicator right here on the weekly time frame, this is telling us that potentially we have a lot more bullish price action to come in the coming weeks or months, especially if we can confirm that bullish crossover. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, obviously right now the price of Bitcoin is still running into this resistance, which, as I've been saying recently here on the channel, is sitting at around 96 to 97,000, give or take, based on the volume profile indicator. But over the last couple of days, we've actually seen more traded volume build really in between around 96 to 98,000. And so once again, at least based on this chart right here, looking at the volume profile indicator, this is currently showing a lot of resistance in between 96k to 98k. So for now, that is the main resistance to pay attention to, and at least for now, we're still running into that area. But we could see here, technically speaking, based on previous price structure, once we see a confirmed breakout well above 98,000, above these highs right here, just above 98,000, essentially it's very likely we'll see a quick move continue up towards all-time highs, and then perhaps at around 106k to 107k, we'll likely find some resistance there before possibly hitting new all-time highs. But of course, that obviously comes after we first need to see a breakout above around 98,000. And so those are still the key points of resistance to pay attention to. And if we're taking a look at this daily time frame, technically speaking, the bullish divergence is still playing out on the daily time frame. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate the bullish divergence, but at least for now, the daily Bitcoin RSI is still getting very close to overbought territories. We're sitting pretty much right on the edge of overbought territories, which means we're kind of running out of room towards the upside, at least just in the immediate short term here. And now, in case you're new to all of this, that does not mean that this is the top and we're about to crash. That just means potentially we're due to see a little bit more of a cool off, either some sort of sideways price action here or maybe a slight little pullback in order to help to reset the RSI, because even just seeing some sideways price action, that can help to reset the RSI, which can give us more room towards the upside later on. And over the last 1 week, we somewhat saw that happening to a small degree. Obviously, we saw a bit of sideways price action, still looking overall more bullish than bearish, but while we were basically slowing down in the short term, of course, that did help to reset the RSI a little bit. But due to the fact that we didn't really see a massive cool off, it was only just a bit of sideways price action for roughly a week that only slightly reset the RSI. And so at least based on this chart right here, once again, this is telling us that it is quite likely we could see a continued short-term cool-off, just a little bit more of a slowdown here from all of the bullish price action. But once again, overall, we're more bullish than bearish. It's just we might see a temporary cool-off. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, of course, over the last 1 day, we've now officially confirmed a daily candle close above this golden pocket area of resistance, which was sitting in between around 94,500 to 95,500, close to 96k. And the latest daily candle close confirmed confirmed just above 96k at around 96.4k approximately. And so obviously, at least based on this chart right here, this is clearly a bullish signal and technically one confirmation signal confirming the breakout above the golden pocket. And so if we can now just simply hold above this area, once again, maybe see a little bit of a cool off, but still actually hold this as new support, that would be very good news for Bitcoin. But remember, as I said earlier, and as I've also mentioned in recent videos here on the channel, we still have potential resistance at close to 98,000 right here, and also at around 101,000 as another small point of resistance. But once we see a breakout ideally above 98,000, it's extremely likely we'll just continue up towards all-time highs. And so once again, we're still currently looking more bullish than bearish. But if we're taking a look at the 6-hour time frame, we have a possible new warning signal that we need to pay attention to for the price of Bitcoin, which is of course a new bearish divergence. Because despite the fact that the price of Bitcoin has been making higher highs here in the short term, of course the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI is still creating lower highs, which means once again that's a bearish divergence telling us we could likely see a little bit of a cool off coming soon, because usually a bearish divergence plays out in the form of either just some choppy sideways price action or potentially a little bit of a pullback as the most likely outcomes. And now it's important to mention that we've not really seen a lot of confirmation to confirm this new bearish divergence here. Ideally, we need to see a little bit more of a rejection to actually cement this lower high in place here in the RSI. But if we see that potentially in the coming one day or so, if we see a further rejection in the RSI on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, then in that situation, obviously that will help to confirm this new bearish divergence, telling us that it's very likely we're going to see a cool off in the coming days. And of course, this aligns with the fact that we're very close to overbought territories on the daily Bitcoin RSI, telling us we're likely going to see a little bit of a cool off. So keep that in mind. In the next few days or so, maybe over the next week, that sort of time frame, it's extremely likely that this is going to happen here. As always, no guarantees, but that is what is very likely going to happen. But then perhaps after we see a bit of a short-term cool off, kind of like what we saw just here, just cooling off a little bit, potentially we can see more bullish price action later on. So just keep that in mind. Once again, overall, I am still more bullish than bearish. I still think we're very much bullish here, heading towards all-time highs, at least in my opinion, but just expect a bit of a short-term cool off in the meantime. And this is also due to the fact that if we're looking at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, for now, we've kind of used up all of that previous liquidity. We've already wiped out that liquidity that was sitting at roughly 96,000. And so at least based on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we don't really have a strong direction in the price here in the short term, because we don't really have a significant amount of liquidity just above the price, only relatively small amounts. And same towards the downside, we don't really have a massive amount of liquidity immediately to the downside here. And so with all of that being said, what is my exact Bitcoin trading strategy? And well, right now I'm still long on the price of Bitcoin, because once again, overall, I'm still more bullish than bearish, as I've been saying this entire time ever since I entered this trade all the way down here, which I shared here on the channel back then. And especially while funding rates are negative over here on 2bit, that basically means with me in a long position here, I'm earning funding fees. Usually every 8 hours they get paid out. So basically I'm earning passive income just by being in a long position while the funding rates are negative. And so even if the price of Bitcoin just goes sideways, if it doesn't do anything, I'm still making a little bit of profits from these negative funding rates. And that's also one of the reasons as to why I'm still more bullish than bearish. Overall, I'm still bullish on the price of Bitcoin, because we're seeing negative funding rates, which is a sign of a possible short squeeze. It's telling us that we're not really that overheated as of right now. But once again, just do expect a bit of a cool off maybe in the next few days as a likely scenario. But that is still my exact Bitcoin trading strategy. Once again, long on the price, my stop loss sitting in profits, you can see it right here. And then potentially at some of these key points of resistance, I may look to take a small amount of profit. So maybe at around 97k, give or take, I might slightly reduce the size of this trade. That's just a possibility here. And then perhaps at some of these higher levels, like for example, if we break out, head up towards all-time highs, I might take a small amount of profits off the table out of that Bitcoin long position, just slightly reducing the size of the trade around these higher levels here. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, like what I'm doing right here to easily profit in the crypto market, then of course you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade trade right here over on 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, up to $50,000 you can actually claim using the link below this video. But if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can also get a $30 sign up bonus and a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit $1,000 using the link below this video to 2bit, you get a $200 bonus onto your account. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there's also BTNex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to BTNex below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim some massive trading rewards, like for example, up to 35,000 USDT onto your BTNex account just by using that link and trading. And also you can get a 20% deposit rebate over here as well. For example, if you deposit 1,000 USDT, you get a $200 bonus, but only if you use that link. And in case you're wondering, BTNex is also a no KYC exchange as well. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, the first and second link below these videos. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and right now, technically speaking, Ethereum is still within the larger bearish trend, also known as a bear market. But of course, in the shorter term, we're still within that massive bullish relief, a major bounce from this significant support sitting in between 1.4K to 1550. And so honestly, not a lot has changed on this chart over the last one day. So getting straight into the daily Ethereum price chart. And for now, we're still holding above this key Fibonacci level, which is currently acting as short-term support. And that's sitting at just under 1.8K, around 1790 to 1800. And so that is the short-term support to pay attention to. And as for resistance, we have some resistance at around 1.9K approximately, but the next significant point of resistance for Ethereum is sitting at around 2.1K. But as I always say, honestly, just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is most likely going to happen for Ethereum. So because Bitcoin is experiencing just a slight little slowdown here in the short term, obviously, but overall looking bullish, we're seeing pretty much the exact same price action for Ethereum. Once again, we're overall within a bullish relief, but in the immediate short term, seeing a slight slowdown. And so that's what I expect for Ethereum moving forward, basically what I said for Bitcoin. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the 3-day time frame, Solana is still playing out the bullish divergence on the 3-day chart, meaning continue to expect a bullish relief for the price as one of the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, for now in the shorter term, we are holding above this key Fibonacci level based on previous Fibonacci resistance flipping into new support, and that's sitting at around 146 to 147. But obviously, like I've said throughout this video, at least in the short term, even though we're still looking bullish in terms of this bullish divergence playing out, in the short term, we are currently experiencing a bit of a slowdown, just a short-term cool-off, which is healthy to see during a bullish movement. Because while prices basically just chop around sideways here, that resets price oscillators like the RSI and things like that in order to give us more room towards the upside to create more of a sustainable bullish movement or bullish trend. So it's essentially the exact opposite of this previous bearish trend. Obviously, in the bearish trend here, we did not just crash straight towards the downside in one straight line. We had multiple bounces and bullish reliefs along the way during the bearish trend. And right now, we're basically seeing the opposite. And the next significant point of resistance for the price of Solana is sitting at around $167. And above that, we have more resistance at 179 and also in between 191 to 200. And we could also find a small amount of resistance just here at approximately 154 to 155. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the 3-day time frame, technically this massive bearish divergence all the way back here is still influencing the price right now, as I've been saying for months now on the channel, since much higher prices. So not a lot has changed on this chart over the last one day. But if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, for now we're still within the bullish relief that is within a descending parallel channel, effectively a bearish trend forming lower highs and lower lows. And as for support and resistance, we still have this support right here based on previous resistance flipping into new support, and that's sitting at approximately $2.16 to $2.17, around there. That is the support to pay attention to. And as for resistance, we do have some resistance at approximately 233 to 235, and the next significant point of resistance is at approximately approximately $2.45 to $2.50. And overall, if Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market is playing out this bullish price action, expect something similar for XRP. But once again, maybe just in the next few days, if Bitcoin experiences a slight little cool off, that could likely also happen for XRP just in the short term here. And so those are my thoughts on XRP right now and the key points of support and resistance to pay attention to. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, Chainlink is still running into this significant area of resistance based on the previous golden pocket area of support, flipping into significant resistance right here. And that's still sitting in between $14.90 to $15.50. So that $15.50 level, that is the key level of resistance that we need to break out above. But while the price is continuing to struggle at this exact resistance as expected, technically the bullish divergence on the daily Chainlink chart is still currently active because we've not yet confirmed any invalidation signals to invalidate the bullish divergence, which means right now the price is trying to play out the bullish divergence at the same time as running into significant resistance, which you can think of as sell pressure, as sell wall. And so in other words, we're basically at a bit of a standstill, a stalemate in the price where we're trying to play out the bullish divergence, running into resistance, causing a bit of choppy sideways price action. That is a likely scenario in the coming days here. And then obviously, once we can eventually confirm a breakout above $15.50, that will be extremely bullish for the price of Chainlink once we actually confirm the breakout with a daily candle close confirming above that level and ideally holding that as new support. Then in that situation, we'd likely see a fairly quick move up towards this next significant point of resistance, which is sitting at around $17.50 to $17.60. And even if we were to see a further rejection for the price of Chainlink, that's not necessarily all bad news, because as I've mentioned recently here on the channel, that could possibly just form an inverse head and shoulders pattern. But I want to make it clear, at least for now, we do not have that pattern in play. It's just possibly forming if we were to see a further rejection and then a recovery. But once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, like what I'm doing right here over on 2bit to make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market, then make sure to check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade these moves like what I'm doing right here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.